Good afternoon. Good morning. How's everyone? It is another beautiful day. Just finishing work and a little early today. Hope everyone is well. Oh, excuse me. A long day at work. Been running nonstop. Let's see, we got 4 people on so far. Hey, how you doing? Welcome. Good afternoon. Or morning. Excuse me. So, in summary, what my perception of this is we're all the same being. We're all the same presence. And it has no name. We're not the human race that we believe we are, and we're not moving in any direction in which we think we are. Yeah, link them in here. I haven't seen the videos that you've made. At least I don't think I have. That's cool. Yeah, you can link them in. I've never seen them. So in summary, we're all this one being. It's not a person, it's not a place, it's not a thing. It is a presence. And we're all this beingness. We're all the same being. So his story is ultimately our story. His does not represent the masculine or the man or this side of the spectrum or this side of the yan. That is what presence represents. Before you have the decision to choose male or female or to decide this or that, there must be presence. Presence brings forth everything. So we are ultimately this presence, this immovable presence. There is no person, but we become person. We become identity. We become the personality, which is exactly the illusion, which is what is coming and going. You know, the names and the forms that appear, but there's something appearing or that's never appearing, but that is present through these forms, and that reveals itself inevitably. But for those who have a pure mind, it's already been revealed. The mind, all it requires is the purification of mind, the emptying of the mind. So, in essence, this focus of non-duality is not a learning. You don't have to approach this study with the mind present. You don't have to have the memory present. This is not something that you must memorize like in a textbook or in a video. This is quite contrary. It is you getting back to your effortlessness, back to the child who was excited and radiant for no reason at all, because the child does not pay attention to what day it was out of the week or what time it was out of the day. The child is that presence that is ultimately pure love, pure acceptance. And what pure acceptance looks like through the experience is surrenderance. Many of us have never had what you would call a near-life experience, like he says in Fight Club. When he finally lets go of the wheel and they crash, he says, you know, we just had a near-life experience. Many of us don't know what the moment holds beyond our own influence and effort. And that's why many are so burdened by their efforts of doing and never fulfilled by these doings. Never at an ultimate peace by these doings, because these doings, this acquiring cannot bring you anything. You are already whole. And that's why I like what Jim Carrey says. You must get all the money. You must get all the things that you want, all the things that you believe will make you whole, will make your life complete, will satisfy you, so that you can acquire all them, to realize it's not it. It changes nothing, because you already have what you're seeking. And that's what this is. This is not an acquiring. This is not an accumulating. This is a surrenderance, a letting go, a releasing, a shedding of this heavy burden that we have put on ourselves. We must save the world. We must change the world. Beautiful intention, but such a burden. And not just things like that, but things even more complex that are truly beyond our control. We burden ourselves with these things. We burden ourselves with this unrealistic expectation. Because again, we're not a human being. We're not this human concept. Being human is the concept, is the dream. Being human is a word. And only humans believe they are what's in control here. They are what can influence and change things here. Only this human concept is trying to be something it's not, which brings the suffering, brings the burden. And again, I don't say that this human concept doesn't serve its purpose, but these videos are directed for those who are ready to experience that ego death, to experience themselves beyond concept, beyond word, and getting to know the unknown, the self which is beyond the surface, the subconscious, connecting the yin and the yang. Let me see what your name is. Leela? Is your name Leela? I'm sorry, I can't see very well. With the font, it looks like Leela. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. You want to be less emotional. Emotions are good. Emotions are good and very meaningful, but they can also become a prison. They can become something that traps us. We can become bound and limited to these emotions, and even begin seeking the escape from these emotions when we become bound and confined to them. So these emotions are good, but they only serve when we shed them, when we release them, when we attach to them, when we become them. We fall into the associations of those things. Then we start seeking the escaping of ourselves as this emotion through substances and other things that will take us from ourselves, because we have mistaken ourselves as just this confined thing, or this emotion, or even this thought. Thought and emotion, same thing. But I myself, it's funny you speak of emotions. I'm a Cancer. I'm born in July 15th, so my sign's a Cancer. And they are known to be the most emotional. A lot of people refer to them as crybabies because we're very emotional. Um, wear your heart on your sleeve, very emotional, very passionate beings. And I see it as true power, honestly. People who are more emotional are more easily able to be more vulnerable. And you doing that, you shining that light of vulnerability and love, you're allowing other people to do the same and inspire others to feel comfortable doing the same. So, I don't know if you mean by less emotional, you want to feel them less, or maybe not attach to them as dominantly. But the best thing we can do through emotions is remain in control of ourselves, of course, but to purge these emotions. So if you're angry, purge the anger, get it out. And again, like I say, remain in control. Self-control is the most important thing. Raising your consciousness brings about acting instead of reacting. You purge them by feeling them. Remain in the moment, not in the mind. Remain in the heart. The heart always knows the way. The heart is the moment. It's in sync with the moment. But you don't have to think about how to purge them. The heart knows the way. Whatever you feel, feel it. Release it. That's how you purge it. Release it. If you feel like crying, you cry. If you feel like being angry, or something makes you angry, you feel that anger. Or whatever the emotion is calling you for, or to. But that's how you purge them. You feel them. You release them. But you do not attach yourself to them. Emotions will naturally come in response. But the key is to remember and always ground yourself by remembering what you truly are. You're not these emotions. And by purging them, feeling them, you release them immediately. When we hold them in and we don't feel them, we become them, we associate with them, we become attached with them. Plattsburgh Platter. Good afternoon, welcome. Long time listener, right on. All right. So, Leela, the place that the greatest love exists is within yourself. And what it looks like is beginning to accept yourself in small ways. Start with small ways. Start with things that you would change about yourself. Maybe your features or something. And begin with small things. But start accepting yourself as you are. Realize you couldn't be any more perfect. And then start with bigger and move to bigger things. Love is ultimately just acceptance. And so when we say we're wanting to be loved by someone, we're waiting for love, we're waiting for someone to just accept us completely. Completely accept us. Acceptance is just pure surrenderance. Pure unconditional love. Surrenderance. It cannot be influenced or changed. It just is. That's pure love. And I forgot who the quote was by, but the quote was something like, "There's no such thing as damaged hearts, only damaged egos." And that's the truth of it. Love is impenetrable. It's immovable. And this force that we're waiting for through others is just ourselves. Pure acceptance. It starts with us. And that's why our partners mirror ourselves. We attract what we are. So if we don't accept ourselves completely, that's usually what we attract. And that's why that goes with knowing your worth. If you don't know your worth, how would your partner? Your partner will match how you're treating yourself. If you're not completely accepting yourself, your partner will most likely match your level. So Jared says, if we're all the same consciousness, why do others wrong me? Am I wronging myself? Is it a sign to myself? It depends in what ways you would consider you're being wronged. It depends in what way, what fashion, what's being done. But I could answer that in a general question. Why people harm or hurt or even don't consider others is because of just that. We believe in others. It's okay to mistreat this person or that person because it's something other than yourself, what you are. These things come from unawareness, not knowing what you truly are. This is why Buddhist monks will not waste their time fighting, physically fighting. Their number one rule is they're not allowed to fight or be violent, but it's not technically a rule. They know themselves to the core, and they know how literally pointless physically fighting is because they live in oneness. They live in non-duality. They would not waste a second trying to fight another person. It is pointless. So that's where people are so easily able to harm, hurt, wrong, do other people, slight other people, or cheat other people. You think it's something other than. You think you won't have to someday know what you've just done. But that's where karma, the law of karma, you are doing to yourself. So these wrongdoings that have been done to you, realize this will cycle back around to these people. It's only self doing to self. Matt, yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't this mean there is no one to wake up or lose an ego? You are correct. That's precisely what an awakening is. You're awakening from the separate self. So there is no one awakening. That's the point of it. That's why I consider an awakening a point of no return. You don't come back. It's when you awaken, you don't return. And this is why I say this is true spirituality. You die and reconstruct, rebirth through your own destruction, or what you thought was your own destruction, your own demise. But the end is only a new beginning. And that beginning is unfamiliar at first, but the new beginning the second time around is recognized. The self the second time around is recognized. Nothing new is actually beginning. There is no beginning taking place. There is no creation. Creation is the illusion to beginning, to introduction, to starting point. But infinity has no starting point, and that's why it is chaos. That's why it is maddening to man. Man cannot grasp infinity, and man is the species that must grasp everything. You must physically touch it and grasp it, or it's not valid, it doesn't exist. And that's precisely what infinity is. Everything that the ego cannot know and exist in is what infinity is. Cannot be grasped, cannot be caught, it's not a number, you cannot count to it, it's not a value. You can try and bring a value to it, but you can't. It means nothing. Your numbers, the order of numbers, means nothing. Oneness is not a value, it's not a number. It's not something created by the mind. Oneness is the source to the mind itself. This chattering thing that we become and attach to, there is a source to that, and it is presence, it is awareness. Awareness comes first. Then you have consciousness, which is the evolving of that awareness into the form, into something. But that's what the Ouroboros represents. That's what the phoenix represents. Losing yourself to find yourself, dying before death, to realize there never was death because there never was a birthing, there never was a beginning. No one is actually awakening. You awaken from the separate self that you think you are, but you have never been. I am that I am. That is God's only given name that has been on record, because there is no word or name for it. The presence is I am. That's what I am represents. It is not the spoken word I am. I am represents presence. I am always present. And I cannot be anything but I am that I am. You can use any word you'd like, Assad. And that's why there's so many gods. That's why there's so many deities. We are that. We are it. So each one of us is bringing forth or birthing forth a new God, a new deity, if you will, especially once we materialize it into a drawn form and give it a shape. We give it an appearance, just like the characters of the Bible. We don't know that's what they look like, but they've come from our mind. We've materialized them. Demons, angels. We don't know that these things are real. We've never seen one. But we materialize them. We draw them. We construct them. They come from the mind. We are these deities. We are the duality. The battle of angels and demons is within the mind, within man. And when man succumbs to his emotions and the body, he is lost to the demon. It's a metaphor. Once you have lost control of this body, this mind, the demon has possessed you. The battle of angels and demons is the mind. And that is the test. There is no God that's watching you in the sky waiting to judge you. You are in the test right now, just knowing that nothing's watching you. Do what you will. Reveal you to yourself, knowing nothing's watching you. Are you going to choose good or are you going to choose bad? Because you are it. That reveals you to yourself once you awaken to this fact. How many people do good deeds today with their cell phone in their hand? How many people must be seen only to do something good? It is the same concept as those people following the commandments because something is watching. But once you erase this, once you abolish this, or you discover this is not the case, it is you, then the true testing of your character begins. Who are you really? Then you reveal you to yourself very easily. It's very easy to be corrupt. It's very easy to think with manipulation. But as I've stated, this reveals you to yourself. Are you truly love like you represent, or truly light? Or contrary? Good morning, Gabriella. Welcome on here. There is no before. Before and after doesn't exist. And that's what I mean. We're not who we think we are, and we're not moving in the direction we think we're moving in. We think time is going forward, and it's 2022, and we're moving, in this forward direction, and things are unfolding. Not the case. We're nowhere. And nothing is happening. See, but when you say this, how do you bring meaning to this? How do you bring purpose to this? That is true non-duality. It's simplicity. Right back to your roots, right back to presence, right back to that which is already pure, whole, that which has not changed since your birthing, or so you thought was your birthing. Because believe it or not, you can identify the one and only thing within yourself right now that has not changed since your birthing. And it's nothing that can be seen or touched. It's something within you that cannot even be spoken of. Doesn't even need a word. Once you realize what that is, you've pinpointed the self, the source to your ego, to the separate self, to the words and to the language and everything that we have created through this made-up language, through these words, through the mind. The only place to go is the mind. And that's why everything leads us back into ourselves. You study atoms, they show you a fractal pattern. You study the universe, they show you a fractal pattern. You look at the Fibonacci sequence, it replicates a fractal pattern. The vortex, the Fibonacci sequence, it's throughout everything. It's showing you to yourself there is nowhere to go. You can look this way, you can look that way, you can look up, you can look down. The above is the below is the above. There's nowhere to go. Inevitably, we will realize this. There never has been anywhere to go. Earth is not hurtling through space. We're not even in space. Just like he says in the Matrix, do you think that's air you're breathing? But again, everything is what you believe it is. That is perception. Perception is everything. And that's just it. The mind can go as far as you like. But what this is an unlearning. A complete unlearning. We're taught everything is a noun, person, place, or thing. But what's perceiving all these things, persons, places, and things? It is the I thought that is within us. And when we self-inquire and look into what's behind this I, what's behind this I thought, that speaks for me. I am happy, I am afraid. I am this, I am that, I have a question. I don't want to die. There is a source to this I, and when you pinpoint this source, you are home. Home will become nowhere. You're always home. Because there is nowhere you can go that your presence is not. Your presence is the persons, places, and things. And one of my own personal favorite quotes from myself is, if I create who you are, which is who I truly am, then who am I? Because that's all you truly are, is the projection to myself, the mirror to myself. You are me. I am you. So if I'm creating you, or projecting you, which is who I am, then who am I? Who are we? And that's why I say the final conspiracy is with you and yourself. We are all the same person. We are all the same being. His story is our story as this beingness. And that's the thing. The mind is the quantum computer. The mind is the quantum realm, which means history can be changed as simple as changing the memory, the mind, because the mind is the quantum computer that is storing all this information. So when you talk about his story, it's our story telling us where we've been, what we've done, but it can be changed and it can be whatever you say, whatever you choose to, to bring to the memory. Because we are the quantum computer, the quantum realm, the mind. It is all persons, places, and things. So when I say nothing is happening, nothing is traveling, this is why. The, there is no place. And if there is no place, it eliminates traveling. Where are you going to? Where are you traveling to? That's why when Sri Ramana Maharshi died, he was saying, you know, they say that I'm dying, but where will I go? I will be here. Because there is nowhere to go. The place you believe in is only the depth of your own mind. And that place can go out as far into an abyss as you'd like, because the mind is infinite. It is the void. Likewise with person. Person and place are a mirror to each other, are in conspiracy with each other. They need each other to exist. But the final conspiracy is facing the self. And it's you facing yourself. You are behind the curtain. You are the unknown. You are everything you swore you were not. Everything that you have convinced yourself you are, you aren't. And everything you've convinced yourself you aren't, you are. And that's why I love Alice in Wonderland. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is because everything would be what it isn't. And contrary-wise, what isn't, it would be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. The same thing. We are in a world of our own. No one's seeing what you see, even if they're looking at it too. Because again, this conspiracy that you think takes place here is only with you and yourself. No one's seeing what you see. You can't show someone what you're seeing, even if they look at it too. You are only seeing yourself. The seer and what's seen, the inside and the outside principle are one and the same. Before you have the principle of inside and outside, presence must be established first. Something must be present to speak, to split, and say, this is this, and that is that. Inside, outside. Light, dark. They're truly one and the same because they are the presence. That something that is perceiving them is what is splitting them, is what is separating them. The whole double slit experiment, is it a wave or is it a particle? It's both. You split them into two. You are it. Duality is the illusion. A lot of people say duality is the law here, but it's not. That's according to ego, because without duality, the ego cannot exist. The ego needs point A and point B to exist. It needs here and there to exist, beginning and end to exist, you and me to exist. Without those two principles, the ego is abolished. The ego is no more. Man becomes God and God becomes man. They return to the same awareness which they always were. When Anak became Metatron, when this was symbolic to man becoming immortal, but it wasn't something that physically happened to Anak. Anak didn't rise up into the sky and transform into Metatron with wings. That's not how man becomes immortal. The conspiracy is within yourself. Man becomes immortal when he realizes he never was man. The man never was. It is the illusion. Beginning and end are the illusion. There never was beginning. There never was human. There never was artificial. There was one self showing it to itself. What we have mistaken as the artificial intelligence is only our own intelligence. How else can we bring forth an intelligence into a form? Into a form without us putting the intelligence into it. The intelligence is ourselves. It comes from ourselves. Sure, it can learn and establish new algorithms and become self-aware for itself, but again, the base comes from us. We put it in there. We've put the key elements which allow something to become self-aware into it, which means we have the capability. We've answered our question, what has put us here? Because now that is becoming self-aware in the same fashion as this. That will soon ask the same questions which this has asked. And inevitably, this veil will wear thinner and thinner. What you thought to be a machine and what you thought to be an organic life form will be meeting as one and the same being. It's showing you to yourself. But again, we can all look at it, at the machine, but we're only seeing it from our own self-awareness. So that's why people can look at artificial intelligence and say, this threatens my experience, my life. It's going to kill us, it's going to eliminate us, they're going to enslave us through technology and blah, blah, blah. You are all this technology, you are all this evolving. And the truth is, you've evolved 1,000,000 times over. You don't remember it, but you have, because you're all of it. And that's why I love Bruce Lee's quote, to be like water. And I'm not saying he meant the quote in this fashion, but the same principles apply. Be like water, to remain shapeless, to allow no impact. You go with the flow. You can take any shape because you are every shape. So surrender. Let go. Be. There is no fight here. Once you recognize yourself, who? You must answer this question. Who is the ultimate and final one person, one human on this earth that is ultimately trying to enslave 7 billion people? You think one person has the capability to enslave 7 or 8 billion people? And who would want to do this? Because then you're back to solipsism. It's all you. These are all me. I control it all. That's precisely what the human is trying to escape from, trying to avoid. The only difference with this awakening is you are it. You are the string puller. You are the unknown. You are what's behind it. So there is no fight. You realize through the mandates and the lockdowns and the pandemics, you know exactly what's going on. I don't need a news TV to tell me what's going on or why this is happening. I know very well why this is happening. It's the self showing it to itself. We'll never see life again from 2019 before this pandemic. We're witnessing the greatest evolution of all. It's here. We have arrived. Everything the spiritual community has asked for, this whole 5D ascension and this whole expectation that people created about ascending to 5D and all that, well, that ascension that people were calling for, it's here. It was the pandemic. But again, truth is not what you want it to be. Truth is what it is, and you either bend to it or live a lie. So the truth has arrived. You have arrived. This whole ascension, it's here. The pandemic, it's here. The great test is here, is now. You are slowly and delicately showing you to yourself, piece by piece. Because that's how we exist, through our interactions with people, places, and things. But if you begin taking that sense of control from this traveling being that's going from people to places to things, then you're forced to sit with the moment and look within and not travel, not go, not do, but stay and remain. And just like that, your sense of control is taken. But again, it's not an entity, it's not a corporation, it's not a government that's doing this. That's a victim mentality. Spirituality doesn't bring forth victim. There is no victim in spirituality. That's precisely why spirituality has been brought forth. Empowerment, self-empowerment, taking responsibility, taking action, taking steps, being the change you've been waiting for. You are what you seek, and what you seek is seeking you. Yeah, but that's just it, Jared. Jared, this is not a knowing. And that's beautiful that you say that. The more I listen to you, Tyler, the more I realize I don't know much. All that I reveal is our simplicity. I'm not bringing you truth or anything. I'm reminding us all. We are truth. Your existence, your experience is the direct representation of the word truth. You already have it. This is a reminder. If you realize that you don't know much from watching me, then this is good, because I tell you I don't know anything. There's nothing to be known. The conception of trying to know something belongs to the who. Who's trying to directly conceptualize this experience into a thought versus just directly experiencing. Being, the thought, the concept, the theory, the study keeps you from the direct experience of the highest being. Being is so simple that the ego hates it, because the ego is running around looking for an answer that is hidden and complex beyond our capability. Which is why, again, we look at structures like the pyramids. We don't understand them. We don't have that capability, so we say it's alien work. Alien. But alien means unknown. So it's unknown work. That's what we say. It's unknown work to us. We don't know what this work is. It's alien. It's foreign to us. But I can assure you, the more we move into the selfless being, we will answer these questions. We will reveal to ourselves how these structures were built. We will live to answer our every question about ourselves. We will witness this time of the pyramids being constructed all over again. And I promise you, it will be through virtual reality. When they start bringing people to the metaverse and the metaverse becomes more updated and realistic, and they start bringing senses and a sensory system into the game, mark my words, you will witness structures being put up. And again, if there are senses in the game, you can go up to these buildings, these structures, and touch them. You can feel the weather against the stone or whatever the structure's made of, and it feels real. You can't tell the difference. Soon is what I'm saying. We're going to see ourselves construct these pyramids. We're going to see ourselves construct things that we've been asking about since our beginning, or so we thought was the beginning. It's always been us. There's no one else. Look around. Just like angels and demons, we've drawn them from the mind. It's the same with the green alien that we've been sold. There is no green being up there. This image has come from the mind. We've constructed it. We've materialized it. We've drawn it. It's always been us. Look at artificial intelligence. The biggest question of the human race was, how did we get here? What is the human race? How magical of a time is it where we are living out the answer to this question? It's exciting. Especially when you know there is no fight, there is no threat, there is nothing threatening your experience. You are the experience, not the experiencer, not what changes through the experience. You are the experience itself. The moment, not what transpires through the moment, the moment. Oh wow, Joelle from Belgium. That's awesome. Welcome. Love seeing people from other countries. That's awesome. That's another perfect example of how we're moving into the timeless. We're moving into no traveling. You know, The internet has connected the whole world. And soon virtual reality, well, not soon, it's already happened. I just don't own one, so that's why I'm saying soon, but it's already happened. The whole virtual reality, it's bringing all these places, these countries which you would have to physically travel to. It's bringing all these places to one place, one presence. You can meet with someone from Belgium or Germany or England or Ireland or China or Australia in this presence, in this place, this platform, the metaverse. We're moving into the timeless. We're moving into the selflessness, where person and place become seen through. And there's one thing that I said before, and I'll say it again here. But once we can be in two places at once, because remember, place doesn't exist. But once you can be in two places simultaneously at once, the concept and the measurement of time will no longer be needed or required. It will be shattered. And just think, we're slowly approaching that ability to be in two places at once. Totally shatters time. The measurement, the concept, and all of it. Because space and time belong to the mind. Dennis, no, I've not read the Cabal. I've read, a few chapters here and there, but I've never read the book. Never got into it. I've seen some, quotes that stood out to me that were pretty cool. Um, don't really familiarize with it that well to have an opinion on it, though. Personally, I would say leave all the books, drop all the books, drop the cell phone, drop the books, drop the collective. Look for no support, look for no assistance. Use everything as your mirror. It's you facing you. Look within. Matt, the only word that comes to mind from this perspective is home. It makes you laugh and cry at the same time. Absolutely indescribable, yet so simple. Yes. Indescribable, so simple, so effortless. And that's what I mean, and that's why I love Alan Watts' quote that life is so simple. In the end, the meaning is just to be, but the ego makes this a problem, makes this a mission. We must run around and do something and achieve something beyond ourselves. That's just mind blowing, and then we're trying to always, you know, like stump the world and come across this crazy thing. But that's just it. We miss it because we don't realize that the strangest, wildest, most unexplainable phenomenon is always happening directly through us as this experience. But naturally so, of course, the ego tries to grasp this experience, to catch it, by conceptualizing it into a study, into a theory, into a word. But it is that very study, that very word that keeps you from the path of experience. It keeps you from the moment and keeps you in the mind. Because now you're on a mission. You are burdened to change or do something here to improve the state of this moment. And this moment is already the bliss you seek. But again, the purpose is in the journey. So you must travel from here to get to there. What that means is you must, if you think that a chakra is keeping you from this highest experience or whatever that looks like to you, you must go and do that, fix that, cleanse that, whatever, realign it, whatever the word you use. You must do that so that you can see your experience is not changed. Nothing has changed. That's all a guru does, is allows the person to persist in what they believe is going to get them there. And they keep stirring them up to go faster and faster and faster and to keep going in what they're persisting in over and over and over and over again, so that they become worn out and frustrated. When is it over? When does this end? And they say, you decide. You're the one doing to achieve what you have already had. Don't you get it yet? All these doings and nothing has changed. The real change awaits you in the absence of the doer. It is through this moment that we can experience that real change. That's what we're looking for. We want a real experience. Spirituality is built up to be this whole mystical, crazy thing of magic and all this stuff, but it's so simple. It's an unlearning, a returning to innocence, a returning to presence, to source, where, like Matt said, the only word that can come to your mind is home. Home is nowhere, but remember, nothing is everything. Nowhere is everywhere. Home is nowhere. Why should home be just four walls? Why should you only be at your peace or at your happiest when you're in these four walls of home? Don't fall for that word. Home is nowhere. All these places that we think we're traveling to take place within our presence. So at the end of the day, you're not traveling anywhere. You're not traveling outside of your presence. These places are your presence. And that's why we can't avoid ourselves. We can't prolong ourselves. We put off ourselves. We distract ourselves. But that's what this pandemic is allowing us. It's making room for us to get out of our own way, so that maybe we can surrender just a little and see that we are taken care of through this moment. But we wouldn't know because we have never let go, surrendered enough to know. It's like falling on your back for the first time in a pool. You don't know you're going to float. It absolutely feels like you will fall through the ocean or through the water and drown, sink. But what awaits you in the unknown is you will float, you will thrive, you will be present, pure, effortless. This moment needs no fixing, no correction. That's why love is the answer. Love is pure acceptance. Accepting this moment, not changing it, not transforming it. It's already pure. All it requires is the surrenderance, the acceptance, pure love. That's all this moment requires, pure love. So I'm going to end this video. If I didn't get to your question, I do apologize. Just feel free to comment any questions on this live feed when it's up, and I'll get to them tomorrow, hopefully, if I can make it on tomorrow. I will leave the donation link in the comments, and again, thank you everyone who was able to join me today. And if these messages, these videos resonate, please feel free to share them. Do appreciate all the shares. They help more than anything. So thank you. And I will see you all tomorrow.